Hello ladies and gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, I have a brand new ranking for you all, as I am going to be ranking all 5 of the Evil Dead movies. So it's been a full decade since our last trip around with the Deadites. And after the news broke that the new Evil Dead at the time was going from a straight to streaming movie to getting a full theatrical release, Evil Dead fans across the world rejoiced. And now that 5th entry, which we now know as Evil Dead Rise, has arisen in our theaters. So where does it land among the rest? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to find out. Before I hop into the actual ranking itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my ranking videos. There are well over 100 videos currently on that playlist for you to enjoy, so if rankings are your thing, then be sure to check that out, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so without further ado, let's hop right into things. Number 5, Evil Dead 2013 Remake. This was a blood-soaked reimagining of a timeless classic. After now seeing Evil Dead Rise for myself, many people have been debating which one is bloodier, gorier, whatever you want to say. But in my humble opinion, this one, the 2013 remake, is still by far the most brutally violent of the franchise. Honestly, it's arguably one of the most grotesque movies ever crafted. And I really feel that this isn't said enough, but we truly have to give a lot of props to these actors. They sell you on the fear, they sell you on the disgust, they sell you on the pain, and absolutely none of this movie would work without their commitment. This may be a small thing to some people, but I actually really like how they gave our characters a purpose for going to the cabin and a reason for staying. In the end, this one was definitely so much better than people were expecting, and one of the few worthy remakes, although that is primarily thanks to its unflinching, visceral, and unforgettable gore. Number 4, Army of Darkness. Please do not take this placement as an insult because I love this movie. By far the most comedic of the series, and though not all of the comedy works, for me at least, the vast majority of it does. I personally loved Evil Ash as our main villain. I just thought he was the right amount of campy, over the top, and goofy, and I enjoyed any time he was on screen. This movie boasts some immaculate practical effects. The Army of the Dead, in particular with all of the skeletons, still holds up super well, and I love that battle sequence. It's just a fun, well-paced horror comedy with a unique medieval setting that really helped to keep this franchise feeling fresh and different. Number 3, Evil Dead Rise. Well, I'll be damned. It is wild that this movie was originally intended to be straight to streaming, going straight to HBO Max. Well, Max now. But after the test audience scores were just consistently overwhelmingly positive, they switched it to a full theatrical release. And I am so glad that they did, because I am so happy that I got to experience this in a theater. The strongest element here is the family dynamic. We're used to the Evil Dead movies just having boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, and strangers. But this one just cuts so much deeper because our main Deadite is the vast majority of the character's mother or their sister or related to them in some way, or their neighbors, so the insults, they cut that much deeper. They are very mean, but it works and it sells you on the entire thing, and the atmosphere is just so well executed. And it also brings up that moral dilemma, like you're trying to survive but you don't want to hurt the ones that you love, and that's again something we haven't really had in this series. All of the performances across the board were solid. Yes, even the little girl, I actually thought she was one of the best performances in the movie, and I only draw an extra little bit of attention to her because whenever you're working with kids, you really never know what you're gonna get. But thankfully, she absolutely delivers. However, the star of this movie is undoubtedly Alyssa Sutherland as Mommy Dearest, the main Deadite herself. And in traditional Evil Dead fashion, this movie is remarkably violent, marvelously bloody, and gloriously gory. The change in setting was a welcomed one and just further added to the fear and claustrophobia. It's also fantastically well paced, coming in at like a cool 90 minutes flat, which was just great after so many long movies have been releasing. It also has a superb opening that ties back into things quite nicely that I feel fans are really going to appreciate, with plenty of homages and callbacks to Raimi's original trilogy in here as well. My only gripes are the side characters, not the main family, but the other people living in the building. I just felt that a lot more could have been done with them. I didn't think any of their performances stuck out like a sore thumb or anything like that. I just wish we got a bit more of them. And without getting into spoilers, just a bit more of them. This movie is also quite predictable too, and there is a lack of any real substance, just not much going on beneath the surface, and that's not too much of a negative because this movie is exactly what you'd expect it to be, and that's not a bad thing. It just sort of is what it is, which works to its advantage, but I wouldn't have minded having a little bit more going on. Nevertheless though, this was an Evil Dead movie through and through, and I cannot wait to see the inevitable next installment. Give me many more. And I definitely don't want to have to wait another decade. Number 2. The Evil Dead. This movie is a classic. It was a pioneer for the horror genre and the OG, the original Cabin in the Woods movie. It introduced us to director Sam Raimi and his style of filmmaking, and Bruce Campbell, who is just an icon of Hollywood, and of course the disturbingly awesome Deadites and all of their lore. Yes, it hasn't aged the absolute best in some places, but it still has plenty of creepy moments, an eerie atmosphere, and a plethora to unsettle even the most seasoned horror vets. Not to mention just the fact that this movie got made in the first place and came out as well as it did is pretty much a miracle. Do yourself a favor and look into some of the behind the scenes stuff about this movie. I mean, it was made on a shoestring budget. The cast and crew cut corners and did things the old-fashioned way, and just the most rinky-dink operation possible. They rented this cabin. They were actually like freezing to death sleeping there at night. The iconic opening shot is literally just Sam Raimi driving a bike with a camera strapped to the front and the crew opening doors and stuff at the last second. I mean, it's honestly insane how this movie came to be in the first place, so do yourself a favor and dig a little deeper into that. Nevertheless, what this movie did for the industry and the horror genre in particular should never be understated. This one, like I said earlier, is a timeless classic. Number 1. Evil Dead 2. So Evil Dead 2, also known as Evil Dead 2: Dead by Dawn, is one of the best horror comedies of all time. The duo of Raimi and Campbell delivered yet another classic and one of the few sequels that surpassed their original. Bruce Campbell just made himself a star here, as this movie is basically the first one all over again, just with a bigger budget. And it honestly just feels like this is the movie that Raimi originally intended to make in the first place. It's got phenomenal practical effects, brilliant slapstick, clever dark humor, plenty of twists and turns, and of course iconic scenes. It is wacky, it is zany, it is totally and completely unhinged in all of the best ways possible. I have no idea how Raimi thought some of this stuff up in his imagination, but I love all of it. And this movie is still the best of the Evil Dead franchise for me. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking. While you're at it, don't forget to let me know how you would have ranked all 5 of the Evil Dead movies. If you're a movie lover whatsoever, then my channel is the place to be for you, be it rankings like this one, top 10 videos, versus videos, tier videos. I have them all and so much more, with over 750 videos on the channel already for you to enjoy. So if you enjoyed this particular video, then be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if any of that sounds like it's right for you and you want to see more from me, then smash that subscribe button right now. While you're at it, don't forget to ring that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap.
Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.